So if you watch any of the other rum channels on YouTube, and there's actually a couple of them now, which is kind of nice, a lot of them are doing El Dorado reviews of the Demarara Distillers Diamond Distillery range in Guyana. And the reason for that is they've basically changed their range up to take out all the dosage, all the extra sugar. They have a story to tell about how, you know, they were giving their barrels a special coating, and now they've sort of changed to it. But the fact that the entire range changed kind of all at once, I might ask about that. Anyways, whatever was going on, the story is the El Dorado range, at least the new bottles, are no longer dosed, which is great. Now, I have not gone out and bought them myself because, to be honest, they still aren't what I would like them to be. They're still all bottled at 40%. So far as I think the 21 might still be 43. There were a bunch of them were 43 a while back, and they switched them over. I would like to see higher proofs, 43, 45, somewhere in there. And I would like to see less colorant. They all still look a little bit dark to my eye. But so far, and what I would really like to see is, a much stronger offering, some kind of workhorse to start throwing into cocktails, or just for, to start bringing in the barrel-proof bourbon folks. Now, I had sort of given up hope on finding such a thing, but then I kind of stumbled across this, and I will hold it up for you. This is a single barrel bottling for 3 dots and a dash, which is a tiki recipe. It is also the Morse code for V, which was important at the end of World War II. V for victory. And it is also a tiki bar in downtown Chicago. It's actually only a couple of blocks away from where I work. So what they have done here is they've actually contracted out their own barrel from the El Dorado folks, which is, again, Diamond Distillery in Guyana. And this is a special blend. It's all 2010 stock, 10 years old, picked by Kevin Beery, who's the beverage director. Components of this blend produced on the Port Mourant double wooden pot still, the most famous still in the world, probably. The High Ester copper pot still, the French Savalle metal column still, and the Enmore wooden coffee still. So pretty much all the stills they got down there, with the exception of the Versailles still, which is not to be seen here. I'm going to guess the majority of this is from the Savalle stills, the sort of big industrial columns. But, that's okay, because I kind of like Diamond's industrial column still juice. All right, so let's give this a pour. I still don't think that's a particularly natural color for a 10-year-old. But, we'll roll with it. The important thing about this, so it's 10 years old, it's a special blend, and it is at cask strength of 63%, which is a nice, interestingly nice and even number for cask strength. But whatever, again, we'll roll with it. So you cannot... How did I get a hold of this if it's a special bottling for a restaurant? Well, 3 Dots and a Dash started doing the thing that a lot of restaurants did during the start of the pandemic, which was kind of like call it restaurant retail. So you can restaurants will now happily sell you a full bottle of booze for delivery or pickup, and basically 3 Dots and Dashes have started doing this. It's a little bit more to it than that. You have to kind of know the handshake and so forth. But basically, this is for sale. You can order it from them. It's expensive, but for what it is. But again, they're a bar. They are not a retail store, and I'm sure they planned on putting all of this into fun drinks before COVID rolled around. Anyhow, let's give this a review now that I've spent 5 minutes chatting about it. I also want to talk about Navy style blends at the end of this video. So tune in for that. Anyhow, let's give this a shot. Ex-bourbon cask, by the way. Okay, on the nose. Okay, so this is a nose I could kind of if I wanted to, I could stand back and pick it apart, really. And I probably will, actually. But I mean, at the same time, it's Demarara. It's just it's classically identifiable as that, you know, just like candied smoke kind of thing, or maybe smoked candy, something like that. You would never mistake this for rum made in any other part of the world. It's just it just screams Demerara. And that makes me very happy, even though, you know, if I stand back, it's maybe a hair bit two-dimensional. So we got yeah, that kind of smoky aspect, but at the same time the very candied kind of sweetie shop aspect. So candy shop on fire, if you like. Black licorice. Cola, but it's those little cola candies, the bottle-shaped cola candies. Root beer, Lapsang Souchong, so smoked tea. And a little bit of like old campfire ash. Creme brulee, but it's really more like you just went a little too far with your toasting. And so really like burned creme brulee. Lots of vanilla. I'm getting, so, you know, that's the interaction between the column still and the cask. Some little bit of tar and some ground pepper. Fruit wise, it's more candy than fruit. There's some Turkish figs in there, and some banana skins. Little couple of drops of coffee liqueur, and maybe one black olive. Yeah, it's not the most huge, crazy, complex nose in the world. You can tell that the column still is leading the way, but it works. And it scratches that part of my head that loves Demarara rums. And I'm happy to have a chance to kind of review one that I'm happy to have bought. Not to say that the current range is bad or anything. I mean, I used to love the 15 even when it was really just too sugary. But man, I mean, when you present your spirits at 40%, you're just driving people to independent bottlings. That's what you're doing. All right, let's give this a shot on the palate. Ooh. Yeah, so you're getting this kind of big, so it's very intense in the mouth, very peppery, but at the same time it feels a hair bit thin. It's not pushing all the way back in my mouth either. But what you're getting flavor-wise is this marriage of like smoke and ash and pepper with, yeah, like just candy, just confectionery stuff. Tons of black Twizzlers. Really we're falling from the nose, I guess. Coca-Cola, vanilla, so vanilla Coke. Lots more banana on the palate. Banana flambe. Then like a cigar ashtray, like someone had been smoking some stinky Maduro. Lapsang Souchong again, black pepper again, black olives. Splash of seawater in there. Some more figs, a couple of prunes. The coffee liqueur thing again. And a little bit of like a cardamom cinnamon thing. So really like some chai spice in there. Yeah, classic Demarara. It is young. But really, I mean, this is something that, in some ways, this reminds me of like a cask strength version of like their 8-year-old. Or maybe their 8-year-old married to the 12-year-old. Well, that would be like an average 10-year-old, wouldn't it? And it really feels like this is something that should be in their range. Like this, it's not exactly competition for Foursquare, because Foursquare is at a higher price point even than what this should be. And this should be, you know, what, $60-65 retail. But I mean, they should just put something like this out. Like no question, just sell yourself a 10-year-old cask strength El Dorado. People will buy it. I'll buy it. I will review it. I will probably review it positively. Anyways, I'm going to give this a couple squirts of water. And we'll come back to it. 4, 5. It's going to 63%. It's going to take at least 5 squirts. Now, at the end of this little video, I do want to talk about the Navy style blend because it's become, kind of popular again, and it's really associated with Guyana. All of Pusser's nowadays is sourced from Diamond Distillery, and even the classic Navy blends from back in the '60s, towards the end, were the vast majority of it was made up of rum from Guyana. That was the spine of the old Navy style rum. And in talking about this, maybe I should talk about another product that I have not bought and I not reviewed because I keep getting questions about it. Black Tot rum, and particularly the 50th anniversary Black Tot rum. So the Black Tot folks are elixir distillers, I think they're called. It's the Port Escape folks. It's the folks you buy your cheap Kalila from. They've been around for a couple of years. They've been, selling basically on the promise of the old Navy tot, right? The portion of rum given out to British sailors every day. And a year or two ago, they came out with the 50th anniversary, which got all kinds of press. And all of you down there in the comments have been asking me to buy it and review it. And I have not, partly because I've looked at the sort of contents of the thing. They're actually very transparent about what they're putting into it. And I've looked at the price and I've said, man, that's a lot of money for something that's basically 70% column distillate. Even if some of that's Coroni. I know some of it's Coroni. Shush. And the other thing is just the whole Black Tot commemoration thing. I talked about this before. I don't think Black Tot Day makes sense as a celebration of rum in general. Why would it be? There's lots better things you could use for a celebration of rum in general. It makes much more sense to kind of commemoration for the old Royal Navy, and thus for the old Empire. And if that's the case, I don't really feel like celebrating the old Royal Navy and the Royal Empire. Granted, they had their high points, right? But for most of their existence, they were an occupying force. And that's not necessarily something. That's a bad look for me. I don't want to throw shade on the Black Tot rum folks. I'm sure they're fantastic, and I'm sure their products are really good. But I can't get there, y'all. I just really can't. But that does the sort of. So there's some things about the Navy style rum I just can't get behind. The sort of the imperial legacy. In particular, but also on the other hand, you could very well argue that Navy-style rum blends are fantastic. They're really delicious, and in some ways, like the internationalism of the nature of the blend of the melting pot is something I can absolutely get behind. So, is there a way to kind of save what's good about the Navy-style blend, but turn around the thematics to kind of tweak it, twist the way it's thought about to make it, just not about commemorating empire. Anyways, more on that in a second. But just a thought. We'll get into that a little bit more. Back to the El Dorado 2010 for 3 dots and a dash. Now that it's had some water. Okay, the water actually brings out the aniseed elements in this. Lots of anise. More cola notes too. Not a whole lot of development, but that's okay. It was nice to begin with. Still very smoky. Just well constructed. In a way, especially on the nose, this reminds me a little bit of Wray and Nephew Overproof, in that you can tell that most of the contents in there is multi-column industrial distillate, but it's so well integrated. The different aspects, the pot distillate and the column stuff, is so interwoven together that it's just very well constructed. And for me, a comparison to Wray and Nephew is high praise. All right, on the palate with this. Water improves the mouthfeel a little bit. Kind of makes it a little bit more full-bodied. Brings out the pepper a little bit. Brings out the smoky candy thing a little bit more too. Also more olive. Ooh. There's even a little bit of an absinthe note creeping in there, like anise and wormwood, which I like. I'm kind of into that. Good little bottle. The only thing I can complain about it is it's a single barrel picked by a restaurant where you have to know the secret handshake to buy this stuff, and you still have to pay a lot of money. But yeah, this kind of blend at this proof should be just part of the El Dorado range. It really should be. I will say that one more time. What am I going to give it? I'm going to give it 86 points out of 100. 86. It is good. I like it. Let's talk a little bit more about the Navy blend. Okay, so if you let's step back. Let's say you wanted to keep the inspiration. You wanted to steal the inspiration from the Admiralty of the Guyana heavy rum style blend. How would you do it in a way that celebrates like Caribbean independence instead of empire? Shouldn't be that hard, actually. I mean, why not just source all the rum that you're blending up from independent Caribbean nations, and in particular from distilleries that are, if not locally owned, then owned by someone, folks residing in that nation, right? So we're going to independent nations and independent distilleries, which actually, rather than narrowing things down, it opens things up. Suddenly you can start looking at some of the old things that weren't part of the old British Empire, right? You can start thinking about throwing in stuff from some of the ex-French colonies, the ex-Spanish colonies, on and on and on. So what would I do? Well, I'm going to make it conservative. We'll call this rather than a Navy style blend, we will call this a Caribbean independence blend, because that's what we're going to celebrate with this. The international achievement of Caribbean autonomy, because I think that is something we should look towards. All right, but we are going to make a conservative version of this, and I'm basically going to steal, or not steal, but follow the recipe that the Black Top Rum guys were using for the 50th. I'm going to use that for inspiration. I'm going to use that as a framework. So what I've got here is my little measuring cup, which does the happy job of splitting up an ounce into 6 teaspoons. So we're going to make a 2-ounce pour. If I were doing this like seriously, I would do like a bigger batch, but we're just going to do a 2-ounce pour, which breaks down to 12 teaspoons. Now, in the Black Top blend, they have used, if you look at the numbers, I will link down below, well over half of it is from Guyana. So you got 55% coming off the Savalle stills, the big wooden stills, and also 6.5% coming from the Port Mourant stills. So I'm going to copy them because I'm a copycat, and I'm going to use fully an ounce of my El Dorado here. Oh, I'm dripping everywhere. Now this will turn out to be more than 50% because some of the other stuff I'm throwing in here is not bottled at this kind of strength. But we're going to use this as the spine of this blend. What else they got in there? Well, they got some Bajan rum. They have 15% Foursquare, so easy enough. Well, that's about proportionally. This is going to be about 2 teaspoons or so. We will do 2 teaspoons. Can't see anything. No, that's milliliters. No editing. 2 teaspoons of Foursquare. This is, of course, a blend of pot distillate and column distillate. Foursquare, one of the leading independent rum distilleries, along with Diamond. Diamond is independent. People kind of forget about that. They've also got. Well, we'll go. Can we skip Trinidad for a second? We'll come back to Trinidad. But they got 8% Hamden in here, so a little bit Jamaican rum. This style tends do not overdo it on the Jamaica, because Jamaica can, especially at higher marks, can really come to dominate, especially the aromatics on these blends. But I'm going to add a teaspoon of cask strength Jamaican rum, and I'm not going to use Hamden. I'm going to use Worthy Park from Rum Nation, because I have found that Worthy Park blends a little bit better than Hamden does. Hamden's a little bit of a bully in terms of blending. What else we got? Okay, back to Trinidad, which is a problem because one of the big components in these styles is Caroni, and I'm not going to use Caroni because Caroni is just too darn expensive for what it is, and I feel like it's fun to play around with stuff that is not Caroni to see if we can achieve that kind of effect. But so we got 4% Caroni in this and 11% Angostura. So Trinidad distillers, the Angostura distillery. I'm going to use Scarlet Ibis. I can't remember how to pronounce it. Which is a very fun aromatic column distilled rum. That's a little bit more than a teaspoon, but whatever. We're having fun. All right, and now the hard part. What do you use to replace Caroni? We have 2 teaspoons left, right? Well, I mean, there's a rubber on fire aspect of Caroni, which reminds me of some heavy pot still rums, Long Pond, Fiji to some extent, the Vendome still from St. Lucia Distillers. But I will tell you, when I tasted Caroni blind, like a year and a half ago or so, my first thought was actually Barbancourt. Here's the Barbancourt 15-year-old, and we're going to use a teaspoon of this. Because Barbancourt is a very kind of weird, peppery, rubbery column distilled rum. It's not as, aggressive and weird as Caroni is, but it's kind of has a little bit of that same vibe, and that's what I'm going for. Someone here is going to complain, well, wait, Haiti was not part of the old empire. Yes, exactly. I'm not making a Royal Navy rum. I am making an independent Caribbean rum, and no other nation I can think of represents Caribbean independence more so than Haiti does. They were the ones who did it first. Okay, so I got 1 teaspoon left. What should I add? Well, I mean, I wouldn't blame you if you wanted to throw in a little bit more Port Mourant into this, but I'm not, because I want to make room for some other folks. So, and I want to up the kind of weird coffee and rubber column still element that's going to be missing from the Caroni. So I'm going to go Havana Club Añejo. Still state-owned, of course, even though I think Pernod Ricard does the international distribution and stuff. Haiti obviously has lots of problems, and reforms are coming slowly, but, for the first time in a long, long time, a Castro is not in leadership role. So, I continue to hope that things move upwards in Cuba, and I mean, it's the largest island nation in the Caribbean, so you have to at least have it on your list if you're making a blend like this. Okay, so yeah, that's what we got. I will put my blend down below if you want to try to replicate it. Or really should make your own. It's fun to do blends like this. All right, what I should really do is let this settle down for about an hour, especially to let the aromatics come out. The aromatics on blends tend to be congested when you first do them. Yeah, a little bit. But we're gonna dive in because this is fun. So yeah, the Demarara notes, this stuff still dominates. But what's actually punching through first is the Angostura, the Trinidad stuff. It's kind of giving it that aromatic Pepsi Cola character that stuff has. There's some fruity elements in there too, which it's less candied than the El Dorado on its own. I think it's the Foursquare and the Hamden making those elements seem less like candy and more like actual fruity, three-dimensional notes. On the palate, ooh. Need some water, first of all, but good. That's actually very good. So you've got the smoky element, the smoky peppery element from the El Dorado really kind of providing the foundation for this. But then there's a lot of other stuff playing around. There's a little bit of the rubber notes coming from the Havana Club and the Barbancourt. Try it with water. Oh yeah. Oh damn, that's good. And yeah, there's some really complex cherry notes and other dried fruity notes, and I think that's coming from the from Barbados and Jamaica. Shit, I may have to make like a full batch of this. I like this a lot. This is righteous. I would actually score this above the El Dorado. Yeah, lots of licorice still, but it's the little hints of rubber and the little hints of like complex floral fruitiness. I guess that's pot distillate. That's really making the difference here. This is quite nice, and a wonderful substance to toast the independence of the Caribbean. Cheers. Thanks for watching.